So we're going to be talking about muscles of the leg in this video. This is the 8th video and the 6th lecture, muscles of the leg. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with we're going to start this lecture with a muscle group. So the next 4 muscles are going to be part of the quadriceps femoris muscle group. This is probably more familiar to you as quads. So if you've ever heard that before, that's what we're talking about. We're going to start with the vastus lateralis. This muscle is what makes the outside of the front of your thigh, and its origin is the femur, and its insertion point is at the base of the patella right here, and it also comes down and hooks up right here to the patella. And its action is to extend the knee. And this is actually kind of important because your quads are all about extending the knee. And the interesting thing is, as opposed to the arm where all of the muscles on the anterior side were flexors, in the upper part of your leg, all of the muscles are extensors on the anterior side. On the posterior side, they're all going to be flexors, and we'll talk more about those guys later. Next, we have vastus medialis. It gets its name because it's on the medial side of the leg. Its origin, again, is the femur, and its insertion point is here at the patella. And then, again, it extends the knee because it's part of a muscle group. Remember, muscle groups are defined by the fact that they all have the same action. Next, we have vastus intermedius. Vastus intermedius is right here in the middle. That's why it's called intermedius, because it's intermediate between lateralis and medialis. And again, its origin is here on the femur. Its insertion is at the patella. And its action is to extend the knee. Next, we have rectus femoris, and this is the last muscle in the quads. Its origin is at the iliac spine, right up here, and its insertion is at the base of the patella. And again, it extends the knee. You can't actually see it, but rectus femoris is actually underneath vastus intermedius, and it's sandwiched between vastus medialis and vastus lateralis on either side of it. So it's kind of encased in those vastus muscles. The other cool thing about rectus femoris is it's almost a perfect cylinder. It looks really round if you slice it in half. And it is the muscle that people use to really demonstrate all those fascicles we talked about. And I'll show you this in dissection. We'll cut through the femoris and you'll see its shape up close. Like I said, those were the quads. So remember, that is a muscle group, and they all have the same action. That's what defines a muscle group. They're all on the anterior side of the leg, and they all have the same action. And they're all extensors. Now we're going to talk about sartorius. Sartorius is really cool. It's actually the longest muscle in your body. It has its origin point up here at the iliac spine, and it inserts all the way down here at the tibia. It kind of wraps over the top of your leg. And its action is really quite interesting because it is what helps you cross your legs. So if you pull your knee up over your other knee, then this is what's doing it. It allows it to flex and laterally rotate. at the hip joint. Now we're going to talk about our final muscle group. We're going to be talking about the hamstrings. This is the last muscle group. Remember, the muscles and muscle groups all have the same action. So here is biceps femoris. This is a flexor. That's what it's going to be doing here. And what they've done is they've just separated the two heads of the biceps femoris. So you could see them. That's what this picture is showing you. The origin is here at the pubis, and you could say it's also here on the femur. Its insertion point is down here at the fibula. And its action is to flex the knee. It's a flexor. Like I said, all of the muscles on the posterior side of the upper leg are flexors, whereas all of the muscles on the anterior side of the upper leg are extensors. Now, semitendinosus. It gets its name for this tendon down here. And its origin is up here on the pubis. Its insertion is here in the tibia. And of course, its action is to flex the knee because it's part of the hamstring muscle group. And all muscle groups, all muscles have the same action. Here is semimembranosus. It has these really thick membranous attachments. That's how it gets its name, membranosus. Its origin is up here at the pubis, and its insertion is here at the tibia. And of course, its action is to flex the knee. Those were the hamstrings. What are the other three groups of muscles we have covered? We have covered the quads, which we covered earlier. So we covered the quadriceps. Then we had the abdominal muscles, and then we had the rotator cuff. So we've talked of 4 muscle groups in this series of lectures. Make sure you know those 4 groups and be able to tell me what their functions are. Next, we have gastrocnemius, which is one of my favorite muscles in the body because it sounds like some punk rock band name. So gastrocnemius, its origin is up here at the femur. Its insertion is down here at the calcaneus. And its action is to perform plantar flexion, which, if you remember, is to raise your heel. Underneath gastrocnemius, we have the soleus. Its origin is here at the tibia and the fibula, and then its insertion point is at the same place. Gastrocnemius and soleus actually come together, and they form your Achilles tendon or your calcaneal tendon. And they both insert here at the calcaneus. They actually form the same tendon. They come together and form that tendon. Again, the action here is to help with plantar flexion. And then our last muscle of the leg is tibialis anterior. And tibialis anterior's origin is on the tibia, and its insertion is here at the first metacarpal. And its action is for dorsiflexion. So this is some more flexion here. That is the last of the muscles of the leg. We will be talking a little bit more in dissection about what these muscles look like and how they all fit together. Just make sure you have the basics down from this lecture so that you are ready to go. And moving on to the last one.